Hello, the image you see behind me was taken at the 1989 Japanese Grand Prix at the Suzuka International Racing Course, the same circuit we're visiting this evening. The events that led up to the image you see changed the dynamics for team racing in Formula One forever. Whether you're one of the 14 Alain Prost fans living across France and in parts of Liechtenstein, or the nearly 1 billion Ayrton Senna fans living in the civilized world, you likely had an emotional reaction the first time you saw this race. The same elements of team racing you see in Formula One are relevant to the race you're about to watch. What makes the Sim Racing Alliance GT3 Challenge different from other weekly racing leagues is that each of the 42 drivers tonight have a teammate to partner with to fine-tune their racing strategy. It's not simply every driver against the world. There are even conglomerates to pool resources across SRA's 7 divisions. The camaraderie and enjoyment that team racing brings to sim racing has made this home to over 500 drivers. So while, I don't expect to see any teammates entangling at the Casio Triangle tonight, I do expect to see hard racing for bragging rights across Suzuka's twists and turns. So with that, light 'em up. It's Wednesday night.
Welcome back to the beginning of another Sim Racing Alliance season. It's been a long break, and we're back.
But it's been quite a long break, and I think you, me, and everybody involved with tonight's action is super excited to get going.
So they got a straight fight the rest of the night. He's going to have to make a move. That's a Punterino.
Serious pressure from Boostra. Trying to switch on the inside. Sweeney goes on the inside for the defense. Oh my goodness, right in between.
He's going to dive to the inside of both of them. They're going to go 3 wide corner.
And we're off and away for SRA.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday night SRA event, round 3 here at Suzuka. I'm fairly excited to be here hosting this event. Is easily one of my favorite tracks. You'll find out soon enough. Why is that? Why that is. Adam will be joining me in just a little bit. But in the meantime, yes, I did get the stream started a little bit earlier. There's a lot of history here in tonight's event as we're heading out to Suzuka. By the way, it is a night event. So it's going to be our only race of the season, only event where the race is taking place at night, which adds quite a bit to things, especially when you break markers and all those things. Got to be really careful, and also affects your vision. Obviously, you're driving at night, especially if you're in the lead. So if you're in the lead, you probably put a lot of practice anyway. So, anyways. I'm going to get things going here forward from our admission panel. Let's go over to the track map for those who might not be familiar with Suzuka. I'm sure everybody is. We're going to go ahead and show you here. Suzuka, yes, is in the city of Mie, Japan. Length is just about 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, with a total of 17 turns all around the track of Suzuka. A lot of history going on here. You can see their first sector in red on your map. What's called the S's to start things, all the way to turn number 6, and then 7, the Dunlop curve, which leads you down to turns number 8 and 9, down up to number 10 with short little kink to your right, into the hairpin turn 11, where you mid sector 2. Coming around turn 12, very fast right-hander to leave such a spoon curve, 13 and 14. Only to get to the back stretch there for full speed with sector number 3 as you get to turn number 15, the 130R, which takes you to turn 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, the Casio Triangle, that dreadful chicane there towards the end that takes you on a lap here around lap of Suzuka. So before we get over to our TV cameras and such, we're going to take a quick look at the driver standings. Let's take a quick look and see how things are going for everybody so far here after 2 rounds. We can see Max Diggs on the D3 Go driver with that lead, 169 points. He's had 2 pretty good events, rounds number basically 1 and 2. He's able to get that and provisional lead for the meantime, but Mike Scott and Nico Suave are tied 140 points there. You don't always see ties very often, but, you know, again, these guys are go drivers. They're hanging out at the top. Corey Stracone, your D3 silver driver, 131 points. With not too far back there, Gordon Beverly, the third-year race winner for round number 2, 126 points. We had there in P6 for the meantime, Michael Lee, Andy Speed P7, Joni Air P8, Andrew Berg P9, and Nick Wagner rounding up your top 10 in standings. Let's take a quick look at the back of the field as well. We don't want to just leave everybody hanging just in case anybody's curious. Some drivers have not made to all the events. You can see there on your right-hand side with a couple of 0 points. Hopefully they can make their way to us here sometime in Season 9. Moving over to the team standings, we do have the ZDR boys hit the pace car with Michael Lee and Nico Suave, 264 points. The two gold drivers there at the top. Team Hawks Stardust, Bobby Dockendorf and Corey Stracone. Your D3 silver litter, 241 points. Not too far back at all. And then your third spot there is Madhouse Racing Expeditious Motorsports with Andre Lloyd and Max Dix, 235 points, just 6 points behind their P2. And that being said, let's go over to our TV cameras out here in Suzuka. Let's switch that over to this. So give me a second. There we go. Took a little bit longer for that to get things going here, but drivers have joined in, finished their driver's briefing, are here just getting their free practice going. Just get a little session going on here before they get into the qualifications here in Suzuka. While the drivers are still out here on their mini free practice and their outlap, I just want to kind of go over a couple of things here on the track, and it's easily, again, well, one of my favorite tracks and one of the tracks with the most, I'd say, history across motorsports all around. Thanks to Andrew for that outstanding cold intro there. He's kind of touched on the fact that there's been battles here, and one of the most famous battles between an open wheel callers and Formula One, between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, where they came together at the Casio Triangle. And then depending on who you root for, and you can say that, you know, Senna was on the inside a little too much and Prost had no way to go but just to shut the door. But then you can say Prost did it on purpose because if Senna didn't finish, he'd win the championship. Suzuka has always been one of the last races on the Formula One calendar. This is dating back to 80s and 90s. They were actually used to be the second to last, the last being Australia. So a lot of competition there towards the end of the season would come down to Suzuka. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and get to our qualifying session here as the driver. So I'm going to go ahead and try to switch out of the car here as I'm following Stracone around a bit just before we get things going and get you guys some lap times from these folks here at D3. Giving me just 1 second as I'm going to try to move this as follow car is disabled on this end, and that way I am free to roam around a little bit here at Suzuka. Let's go ahead and then switch the cameras around here as we are on the main straight here, and you can see. Let's speed up the speed here. We're going throughout this green light there at the front and take a little bit of a drone fly back here through the Pirelli sign ourselves. As we hit that, it goes right through. So particularly speaking here at this part of the track is where the event that Andrew was talking about took place. So I know it's a little bit too dark, but you should still be able to see. So things look a little bit different back in the days, but the chicane is still applied. So coming down after the 130R curve there at the back, just coming full speed. Alain Prost with the lead, Senna on the second place. He put the car on the inside, and Alain Prost knowingly knew that if Senna didn't finish, ended up taking the championship. What ended up happening was Senna's car was able to get started for Prost's dismay. Senna ended up taking this escape area right here, as you can see, which is where you're supposed to go on the track, which he did. This used to be a full straight out over here, so he actually went right ahead. This used to be a track, and he basically finished the race. He ended up winning the race, only to be disqualified at the end for getting thrown a help from the track folks, track marshals. And one side note to know is back then the president of FIA, well, Formula One, was also French, just like Alain Prost was. So it became a big politics scenario. It was a big deal. Senna almost quit. Next year, Senna had revenge. As we fast forward here, let's go to the start. As next year, same exact scenario, except that this time around, if Prost did not finish, Senna would win. And particularly on that year, they moved, again, politics in place. Senna had the pole, they moved the first starting spot to the right where the dirt is and put the second start spot on the left. And just, of course, Lamb Prost was second place in that 1990 event, so to speak. And at the start, Senna pretty much obviously didn't have as much grip as Prost did. They came down here together, turn one. And as he was, Senna was on the inside, and he was not going to let Prost get away with it this time, in a sense. I mean, that's how it was. Both drivers end up off the track into the barrier. Not really in the barrier, but close enough, I would say. But Senna ended up winning that championship. So I actually visited this track myself a few months back. I'm originally from Brazil, so I was really excited to visit. And it looks just like ACC. Kunos has done a tremendous job making sure that this track is in absolute replica from what I would think. As we see here, Ciccone coming down the straight here as I'm on a drone camera here. As you can see, a couple of drivers getting their first lap started. And let's go ahead and move on to official TV camera. As I can see here on the booth, looks like Adam has made it. Adam, can you hear me? Doing absolutely great, Adam. Thanks for joining in. Just getting qualifying started here, as I was giving a little bit of a history to any of the viewers maybe, understand why Suzuka is such a historical track. But so hopefully, if you guys did not know some of those events, you are now familiar with it. Again, as I mentioned, one of my favorite tracks due to the fact also Ayrton Senna won his 3 championships here in Suzuka. So. But I'm excited here. Back to the GT world, of course. Getting things started, leading the silver driver Ciccone on his Porsche as he's coming around the hairpin. I want to make sure we do have all the liveries set. There was a little bit of a change there with our livery sync set application. I want to make sure we got everybody's livery. I know I was speaking to Andre Lloyd last week. I want to make sure I do have his livery here tonight. Hopefully he did sync and we get to showcase his livery. So. Ciccone come down the back stretch here, soon to get to the 130R. Gonna come flying here. Very tricky on GT cars as opposed to Formula 1s. Here you can go wide and possibly get a track cut. You don't want that happening, of course. 3 of those. Well, the 4th one, you get sent to the pits for a drive-through cruise through the Suzuka pits. But yes, depending on the car. I mean, mid-cars, from what I've seen on the practice race, mid-engines have kind of been benefiting quite a bit, especially in Sector 1 through the S's. Ciccone puts his first lap in at 2:01.027 with that temporary pole position. Give me just 1 second, guys, as I need to. Oh, there he goes. I was trying to get a drive button on my screen. I was not able to see. Now we go. Connect my race control application here as it was acting a little bit odd. So just give me just 1 quick second. Interesting enough, might have to restart my race control applications. It's not fully connected to our event here tonight, so just bear with me just a bit. And as we mentioned, the race is at night. Qualifying also taking place at 8:05, well, 8 o'clock game time, I'd say. But again, 10 minutes for the silver guys to put in their laps in. Gold drivers will get their 10 minutes in just under 5 minutes or so now, with 14:50 left in qualifying. And look at Harrison. I don't believe I saw Harrison last week, but look at that lap. That is almost on the 59s. Unbelievable lap from Harrison here with a McLaren. Wow. I was not expecting to see that this early. I'll tell you that. And I will soon switch cameras around for you folks here as I was trying to get my... There we go. That's better. So let's switch the camera really quickly over to our current pole sitter with a 0.07 of a second lead over the rest. And now that McLaren is looking fast as heck here at Suzuka, I'll tell you that. And he's invalidated this lap. Well, he does have a pretty large delta going on, so won't be improving. But GB3 race winner, as you mentioned, coming through with a pretty good lap. Oh, excuse me, unfortunately, he's invalidated that as well. So a couple of guys there on the track. By the way, a total of 34 drivers out here tonight. Hopefully everybody does get to finish. And checking on the chat, Adam, I know I welcomed you earlier on the chat, and the folks didn't hear you, and the reason why our Discord chat was on mute. I had forgotten to take that off, so let's welcome you again. Welcome, Adam. Welcome to the stream.
All right. Well, glad to actually officially be here now. Thanks for the shout out in the chat, Kamori. But yeah, as you said, I thoroughly enjoy your deep history of F1 as I was getting set up to jump in here, hearing all the different information about the track and its history and its legacy throughout all different forms of motorsport. Really, is quite astounding, and it's been for as
Yeah,
I lost my train of thought.
Well, no, Suzuka has been one of the oldest. The track is over 60 years old. And what's interesting about Suzuka, as you mentioned, there's a lot of different configurations. You have the back, the west side, the east part of the track. And MotoGP used to race here a lot, and that was until 2003. Unfortunately, there was an incident where one of the drivers passed away at the Casio Triangle, and ever since 2003, they have not come back. Hopefully, maybe in the future, as Suzuka has a really, really fast track, especially going on motorbikes at 500cc, you call it, it can be quite dangerous. So, but yeah, hopefully see them again one more time. But different categories, GTs, open wheels, or Formula Ones. It's a very historical track.
Yeah, and you actually reminded me, stating the age of the track, how relevant it managed to stay in its close to 60 years of history. And the updates they've continually made, as you've mentioned before, it's been a track that's claimed several lives over the years, and but they continue to stay to make improvements. Anytime anything like that happens, they continue to make improvements. I think the most recent being after the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix.
Yep.
They slightly modified the Dunlop corner.
Yes.
That
was
after
just beyond
I think it was. Yes, it was.
There was a tractor that used to be on track. They changed to a crane sort of device now because he ended up going straight, and unfortunately he passed. But yes. And then, yes, as a matter of fact, I can see, by the way, GB3 with the pole, by the way, barely over Harrison there for that P1. This sector here where GB3 is going through, it used to be a one full turn, not this little kink he just went through it, and a sharp right-hander. Used to be a full turn all the way to go under the bridge, and that was also changed to slow cars down. So as cars got faster, they needed to add, stops, or it gets way too dangerous. So
yeah, inching ever closer to the 1 minute range with his 2 minute .075 puts us even closer. It'll be interesting to see how quickly, if at all, the Gold drivers are able to break through that 1 minute barrier.
Yeah. And GB3 with the win last week, proving that he's got that silver, D3 silver, more like a gold. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, he's definitely up there on the standings. And he has proven that his front engine BMW here at Suzuka is no joke. So he does have the lead. Harrison has invalidated his lap at the moment, so won't be improving. It looks like he won't get any more higher than P2 since it's time for the Go drivers to come through on the track. So.
Yeah, right now looking like a pretty hot lap for Sodre. 0.37 up, close to 4/10 up on this lap. That'd put him probably about fourth position.
Yeah, coming around this
hang on to that time.
Yeah, it sure does. Pretty good lap coming through here. That should net him a few spots if he can keep that delta up. And again, GB3 with that P1 provisional, Harrison P2, Andy Speed with that P3, Sutherland P4, Andrew Berg P5, Sircombe with the P6, Super Dave P7, the lead P8. Sodre now hopefully improving, should be shooting up a few
Massive
spots.
Improvement out of Casio there.
Look at that.
Back up to 4/10, 4.5 tenths, creeping up on 5 as it comes to the line.
crosses line. P4, close enough. Yeah, P4 for Sodre. What a lap from this McLaren. I always say McLaren, an absolute beast here on this track. It's easily one of my favorite tracks, and my McLaren being my favorite car, I'll definitely take that lap from Sodre here. Leading the pack of Go drivers looks like to be Mr. Marvin at the front on the back stretch on his Lamborghini. And we'll see what the Go drivers are able to do. Track temperature at 21 degrees. You would say that normally Go drivers benefit a little bit from the track being a little bit more rubbered in, even though it does say optimum for the entire session. But maybe a little physics engine tweak here and there, that might actually hold true. Maybe they do have a little bit more grip when it comes around. So, Marvin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to learn along with the viewers here, as I wasn't able to catch the practice race this week, unfortunately. So I'm viewing it in real time. We'll don't have that data, but we'll get it with our own eyes in just a minute.
Yeah, and the practice, a little bit of I did see for the practice session between D3 and D4, I believe Mr. Gardner had the pole alongside his teammate Wagner. Now, they had some issues throughout the race. I do not see him here, but Mr. Latufa was also doing really well in his Porsche, but he might be skipping the event. But the AMGs from the THR Salty team were doing really well. And from D4, actually, Mr. Whitescarver was doing quite well, giving them a run for the money, but different division. But if they can keep up that pace I saw on Monday, it's going to be tough to beat those front-engine AMGs. And I do see Al here, by the way. There he is. He's out on the track. He joined us late or not, but he is putting a lap on his Pepsi Porsche, and he had pretty good pace. We'll keep an eye on the Tufo. Also Suave, by the way, with that P2 currently on standings on his Days of Thunder Cold Trickle looking McLaren. Comes around the spoon curve and full throttle up the backstretch to 130R. And yeah, a couple drivers with some incidents actually had a 130R. And again, you need to trust your car all the way through here. You cannot, if you want to keep up, your speed and have a great qualifying lap, if you lift a bit, sometimes actually that can actually be a recipe for disaster, as you may lose your rear. And I did see a couple drivers that happening. So I was able to get that through and about to put in a pretty good lap as he's going to cross the line very soon. And there he is, P3 with a 2 minutes and 300. GB3 that leads still with that pole. And Go drivers coming through and putting their first laps. And there's about 5.5 minutes left here in qualifying. Go. Teammate from Suave Lee. By the way, they do have the lead on the team standings, as I mentioned. Oh, somebody there at the Casio Triangle just doing some donuts there. I'm not sure who that was. It was so quickly on my screen, but Lee coming through with a lap very soon. Should be jumping up a few spots there, and still P24 for Lee. He'll be attempting another lap soon. And one of the things about Suzuka, Adams, that quite a lot of track lights, which does help us for this night stream. Some of the tracks we have in ACC have 0 lights. I'm talking to you in Watkins Glen, and you have some issues where you're trying to get the cars and you see there's headlights coming through and their interior cockpit lights.
Yeah, between just an illuminated track overall and the different scenery you got, such as the Ferris wheel, it really does make for a good nighttime racing environment. And lots of eye candy for all of us here to enjoy as we watch these drivers go at it.
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick ride along with Dockendorf, who was our round 1 winner. He's back in his Porsche. Coming down the back straight, and again, still GB3 with that pole, by the way, and Harrison, very close P2, but checking on the chat here, as Andrew Berg is saying, GB3 might snag that pole. Just about 4 minutes left here in qualifying, and these Go drivers got their work cut out for them. So We have Marvin putting a very nice lap there. P3, not too far out from the top two leaders. First row. We have Charles coming through, a great lap there, P6, so co-drivers coming through. Dockendorf able to put a lap in. Wow, look at this field. I mean, this spread is... The Wagner is exactly 1 second from the leader. It's P19. There's a lot of drivers bunched up, and there's a lot of drivers that have not even put a lap, a valid lap, so to speak. So, and here's Kovac. Heck, the first driver on the 59s. Look at that, 59.930. What a lap from Kovac. So puts his Porsche on the lead, and then talking about earlier on the chat, as the mid-engines they seem to have an advantage, especially at Sector 1. And you can just sort of slingshot your car, rotated nicely around the S's, and Kovac just putting that right through. Snagging that P1, so GB3 now P2. What a lap from Kovac.
I don't think it's over yet. Dockendorf with a pretty good lap, loses a little bit of time there. Still sitting about 2.5 tenths up.
And by the way, just switching over to Mr. Lloyd. Andre Lloyd, I do got your livery here on stream. We got it all figured out, looking good. Just in case, I know we talked about this earlier after last event, but looking really nice. We got that figured out for you, and your teammate directly behind you. You know who's also has got a really good lap coming through is Charles, Mikhail Charles on his Lamborghini there, coming through the Casio Triangle. We'll see what he's able to do. Very nice lap. If he can keep this up, he might actually snag the lead. Look at this.
Loses a little bit of time out of the Casio
Close.
Triangle there. It's going to be very close.
Oh my God. Oh no. Is this the same time?
Identical times. 159.930 for Kovac and Charles.
Oh, Kovac's got that. The bragging rights for getting that time first. You gotta be kidding me. Who's gonna split these two on the first row?
It's only here on D3 where you see such close competition. That's 2 weeks in a row we've had identical times.
Come on. Thanks a lot, folks. Well, that'll be a nice start there on mid-engine first row lockout. That'll be interesting. About 1:10 left. But Diggs, by the way, improving him, puts him in P4. Great lap from him. Also, Scott. He's still going through the S's, but a little bit of an improvement. He can keep this up throughout the lap. That will be quite a few positions. By the way, if we take a look at Scott and Sircone, do I see an identical time there as well? Yes, I do. 2 minutes and 5:80. And wow, things are getting really split up here with the co-drivers now.
See Beverly rejoin, disappeared from the server for just a moment. Might have had a bit of an issue there, but back in, fortunately.
And here's your practice race pole sitter, Garner. See, we might not be able to get another lap in through, but he's currently at P10. So taking a look at the top drivers here, I mean, the only driver on the top, top 10, 2 drivers is Garner, top 10 right now, and Beverly with the BMW. Everyone else, all the mid-engines just filling up the top 10 of the field here.
I don't believe my eyes, but Kovac is currently 3 tenths up on that 59.9. He does not want that tie to stand.
He's absolutely gunning it. Going down on the spoon curve. We're going to keep, well, let's go a little ride with Kovac's Porsche. Looks like Kovac came to Suzuka, and he is not kidding around.
Yeah, look out for these Porsches and Lamborghinis this week. Just look super, super strong. I think they got real good odds here. I know the AMGs have been strong the last couple weeks, but I don't think they're going to be able to hang this week.
We'll see, but look at Lutz. Loses a little bit of time. Kovac is going to go through the Casio Triangle here. He's able to find his time. Great improvement out on the exit.
Oh, a little slip there out of the exit. Yeah, I think he had to lift just a little bit to keep it off the grass.
Oh, he's got it. He's going to get it. He does not want that
tie. He's still got it, though.
Close. Look at that. 872 for Kovac. What a battle there for P1.
Last lap clinch. What a lap from Kovac.
Wow. Johnson still out on the track. By the way, he was able to get a lap through right before, but he abandons it. We have Wagner currently P21, so not able to put in a good lap this summer, but does have a huge improvement coming through. Might jump a few spots. There's a P15 for Wagner as he crosses the line. So his teammate P13 Wagner. So at the top 10, we have Andy Speed, by the way, finished that top 10. So GB3, the only front engine we're holding on strong, representing the front engine folks there. But wow, what a qualifying session there. I'm sure Charles was, he's like, can we take this up to the first row lockout same time? But Kovac had no interest in doing that. He's like, I'm going to make sure I take that first spot. Sorry, Charles. And he does. There's about 2 minutes to go here before they start their out laps. Let's go ahead and switch over to Kovac. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these liveries we can while we are on track here. A little bit in the dark. Let's step away from Kovac's Porsche there leading at the front. And there's Charles on his Lamborghini. There is a sole front engine with the top 10 GB3. We have Scott with a heck of a lap there. Harrison. We have Diggs. Dockendorf, Marvin. Nico Suave, Andy Speed there. We have João Sodré. Johnson, Gardner with that P13. Sutherland, Wagner right behind his teammate. We have Berg next to the other teammate. So we got a sweet and a salty here next to each other. Sircone, we have Roger. Supra Dave. Maxi Poe. Lee Schlitz. Al Latufo on your left. Arton. Lloyd, there is your great looking livery. We got you on stream. Lee on your right, we have Brown. Stack. Sweeney, the other THR Sweet vehicle. Cranston. Whoa, and I need to move up a little bit as they are getting ready to roll. Let's move this up. There we go. Let's back up a bit. There we go. Cranston on your right. Petrovic. Garrity, Penchiniak, and Chang rounds up your field here in Suzuka tonight. Again, night race. Actual race time, it starts there. See at the top of your screen, 10 p.m. So track temperature down to 18 degrees, so quite cold and not your usual, 25, 26 degrees you normally see during the day. But should have some entertaining racing here tonight. Again, excited to see what these D3 drivers can do. As we do have 1 hour pits. Pit rules are back to standard, by the way, this week. So you do have your 1 liter of fuel and no tire swap unless you want to. I don't think drivers would based on what I saw yesterday. But, it's your car, your race. You make that decision. Kovac leading that field, starting up that P1. Kovac must have either had a lot of practice last week, and we know he knows how to handle Suzuka, as he was able to put that Porsche right up there on the top. And we'll also check in with Kovac later, and this looks like one of the few drivers that I did not get a livery for. I want to make sure that his Porsche is showcased properly. Chances he does have a livery, so we'll check in with him later on. Here at Suzuka, actually, due to the track lights being all around the track, we actually can get a pretty good view of the track, even on a helicam. A couple other, I remember being at Imola a few seasons back, and part of the track is just basically pitch black. You can't see anything, as opposed here at Suzuka, where you could. Taking a look at the chat, we said that Andy Speed looks fast. Probably good looking in real life, too. Andy Speed, P10. Holding strong there with his Lamborghini. That close-up view. It looks like another driver I do not have a livery for, so we'll check in with Mr. Speed later on. Make sure we do get that corrected for the next stream. By the way, folks, next week, we are taking a break here at Season 9 on SRA, as it's Thanksgiving week, and we'll be back the following week. But a track will be Valencia in the wet. Now, how about that? One of the the newest track in ACC, and then we're throwing some rain to go along with it. That's going to be interesting.
Now, are they going to have to change BOP to compensate for turkey weight? That's the question.
I mean, it depends. I mean, I'd rather just avoid that entirely if that's the case. I'm just not eating. I mean, if that's something that
So
happens.
all the American drivers are going to be at an inherent disadvantage next week, so be prepared for that.
That was going to be a major drop. We need to contact the administrators and do a weight balance before we get that event started. And here we go, folks, as they have come around the hairpin. Again, Kovac with that P1 pole. Heck of a lap there on the 59s. As they're coming around the spoon curve into the back straight, and that will start our event here in Suzuka. I actually had a chance to tune in a little bit last night for the other divisions, and it was quite an eventful race. I was watching a little bit of the D4 stream, which was outstanding job from the folks there, giving the D4 their first stream of the season. And it was some really good racing going on towards the middle. It was really exciting to watch. So we're hoping for the same here at D3. D3 drivers have yet not disappointed us. As we can see here, multiple identical lap times during the race and in the qualifying session. So we should see some good racing here tonight.
Good racing, good competition. The standings are pretty tight right now. ZDR boys hit the pace car currently with Michael Lee and Nico Suave in the lead, but good qualifying effort for both Bobby Dockendorf and Corey Sarcone could put them in contention, maybe take over that top spot. We'll see how this race shakes out as they come through the Casio Triangle, headed to the front straight.
Yeah,
Let's get ready to start this race.
Can never count these guys out, I'll tell you that. Their lap time deltas are so close. You never know. Got your red lights there on your left-hand side for you guys to see when that turns green. As away we go. Here we go. And 1, 2, crossing the line. Kovac leading the pack. And look at that start from Charles on the outside. Switched the camera a little bit ahead, but Kovac able to just stick that in and said, not today. And Beverly, GB3 there, trying to go for that as well, defending quite well. But Kovac got away really well. As a matter of fact, top two, first row. Look at those guys slingshotting around the S's. Man, wow. Looks like we have a yellow flag going back there. Looks like Johnson, Marvin, and Brown as well. A couple of drivers fell way back. Cranston, Marvin Garrity, looks like Schlitz as well. So incident back there, but looks like they're back on track. But what a lap here. Well, what a start by Kovac. But again, nearly identical time from Charles. And this is not going to be over anytime soon based on what we saw in qualifying as these two. You can see their wide line. Look at that wide line from Kovac, able to shut that down, not let Charles through at all. But look at the speed on these two. They've already have a 1.5 second gap from the rest of the pack. My goodness. And switch back to GB3, our race winner from last week. Let's go with a wing view. And he's on full defensive from Harrison. It was, look, I believe the first time we've seen him this season. And that whole train coming down the straight. A little bit of a split there as well between Harrison, Scott, and GB3, about a 2 second to Diggs. Looks like for the most part, everybody was pretty clean as Beverly misses the Casio Triangle chicane there, but looks like stewards might have just given him a warning, but no actual immediate penalty. And sometimes, depending on what that could be, stewards do not like that at all and just send you right to the pits. Sutherland, first driver on the pits, as well as Latufo, Tim. Skin back on the field just a little bit there with Diggs leading that backpack here. And Suave at speed. And Dockendorf, by the way, P9. So he's actually lost, looks like 3 spots. give a little bit of a ride along with Diggs. And there is that kink on your right-hand side and practically 90-degree right-hander here. And you can see that Porsche just rotates so well. So definitely a benefit. GB3 is going to have some trouble there holding on. There's P3. He is great qualifying session, that's for sure. He's holding on strong there. I mean, he's leading that second back with Harrison absolutely on his rear. Let's go with a wing view on GB3. Yeah, he's gonna be dealing with that McLaren for quite some time unless Harrison chooses to maybe pit as GB3 naps the grass just a bit. And look at that exit on the McLaren. My goodness, they're going for the 130R. Let's go to the outside view, and this might actually, Harrison might take it. GB3 not giving that up at all. Heli cam we go, and Harrison decides to back out. Oh man, that was... Now Harrison knows. Trying to bait GB3 here into, you know, just kind of playing a little bit of a chess game and trying to see where he might be able to do a cleaner move, so to speak. As the drivers are coming through, starting their third lap. So biggest winner so far, but Super Dave, currently P13, has gained 5 spots so far, and also Lloyd and Lee. Looks like there's a yellow there for Lee. Take a look at the replay and see exactly what happened. This big gulp, and he goes deep into turn 1 and just loses the rear. Oh man, so close. Poe just narrowly missed it as Sweeney finds a round lead. Man, oof. You know, Poe saw that car on its side and he was just praying he could make it through. And by the way, Sweeney, we saw there quickly, he's currently P17. He didn't have his best qualifying session. He started way down P28. He's gained 11 spots so far. We know Sweeney to be consistent. Season 18 champion alongside Andrew Bird. So you know he comes through every race. So great job from him so far.
Let's go back and take a look at that lap 1 incident. Let's go ahead and keep an eye on the number 40 Lamborghini here of Ethan Marvin.
Ooh.
Just loses the back end, gets into Turner Johnson, and ends up collecting Johnson's teammate, Roger, as well. As well as several others. Just nowhere to go, too much traffic.
I don't think he expected that car to be facing backwards on the S's. Oh man, yeah, that will definitely cause you to create some damage. And yeah, well, they've gone to the pits, it looks like, which is good. As we switch to Panchaniak, by the way, and Lee going together at the Casio Triangle here. Lee trying to make the move. And this will benefit Panchaniak as be on the inside line, but Chang also very close there, trying to pick up some draft, but into turn 1 they go. And an aerial view there, Lee goes very wide.
Nearly in the sand. That was almost catastrophic.
And that gives room for Chang, but Lee says, nope, not here, not on the S's. We'll work this out later if that's the case, but Chiniak holds on to that P20. Let's move over a little bit ahead on the field as there's quite a few battles still going on. As you can see, there a major train coming through here. Speed leading a mini train there with Diggs and Suave a little bit further ahead, but Dockendorf, Garner, Wagner, and then Stracone, everybody bunched up together here. Unless one of these drivers decide to pit early and get their liter of fuel in, I don't see this changing anytime soon. By the way, race leader Kovac and Charles just 5-second lead, and Harrison, by the way, has overtaken Beverly for that P3, so GB3 drops to P4. But the two leaders just, oh man, on another realm at this point. They're 4.3 seconds lead over P3.
Yeah, talk about this potentially being a good opportunity for Dockendorf and Sircone to make up some points on the lead team in the team standings. And so far, Sircone up 4 positions. Dockendorf holding pretty good, strong there. He lost position to Suave in speed. He started out on the grid 7th, currently running 9th, but solid drive from his teammate. Definitely both of these drivers are going to be in contention before this thing's over.
As you can see there, a little bit, Gardner trying to bait Dockendorf into a little bit of an inside move there to T1. Dockendorf just shut the door, not letting that through at all. And this is where the mid-engine cars have proven to be quite strong here at Sector 1. They tend to open up a little bit of a gap as Gardner and his teammate Wagner just cruising around here between all these mid-engines. And we have Berg, by the way, in P14, the other mid-engine, but at the top here, I mean, practically, you know, barely any front-engine cars at all. And you can see the strength on these mid-engines. Oh, as you can see there, gets a little bit Suave, gets wild out of the right-hander into the hairpin here, and that will give some room. And Speed not able to find a way around, but very close, almost a tap. Speed had to actually hit the brakes. Let's take a wing drive here with Suave, and this group of drivers just very close.
Yeah, and this battle's allowed Bobby to close right back in on the back of Speed now. So Speed under attack as he's going on the attack.
As they go through the spoon curve, and just kind of back and forth between these guys here. Suave just kind of leading the pack, and then Scott under attack from Diggs, by the way, not too further ahead. Let's switch over a little bit here, and as they go through the 130R. Interesting thing to note about the chicane here as the Casio Triangle. You know, this is due to safety. There used to be a different chicane. It was a little bit further ahead. You can still see traces of it on the track as Diggs is attempting a move on the inside, and Scott is just not seeing anything.
Defends all the way to the inside wall.
Diggs says, maybe on the outside, but no. But as I was mentioning, they moved the chicane a little bit further in, and that's, you know, to help drivers basically slow down a little bit. It used to be pretty dangerous to go really deep into that Casio Triangle, so they've sort of straightened out the chicane a little bit and moved it closer to 130R, so you have more room to brake. So still practically the same. They've used to be a pit entry there on your right-hand side, and you can kind of see how they've left that on the track here once you go in an aerial view like Helicam like we have. But yeah, quite a few changes to Suzuka throughout the years, but still that same standard format or design, you would call it. As somebody's off. Who is off? Beverly. What is going on here? Let's take a look at the replay. GB3 coming down at full speed. Oh, he got too much curb. Oh, no.
Turned in just a hair too early and lost it. Luckily, no real contact with the wall or anything, so he should be able to continue.
Mr. Cohn with a drive-through, by the way. Maybe a pit over speed. Oh, man, I hate to see that. So he's already taken care of his pit, but he will have to go another tour through the pit lane here at Suzuka. But, man, you don't see that from GB3 often. We didn't see he was kept it perfect last week, but that inside curb, Adam, yeah, you take a little too much of it, you bottom out, and, oh, man, hate to see that happen. So he is dropped way back P21 as Sircone Artem, not incident back here. Looks like Artem went into the grass, and then Sircone overtakes, but then Artem trying to defend. Oh, no, and Artem just sent him wide, but looks like Sircone, it looks like he does have a drive through to go through, so, oh, man. And his car's lost. Look at Sircone, just his rear. Oh, my goodness. I wonder if he's having some car issues due to that tap from Artem, but on the track he goes.
Yeah, from bad to worse there. It looks like a little bit of right side damage from that tap, but
he got squiggly there out of the turn before the hairpin. It was kind of scary. And that gives Wagner, by the way, P8. He has overtaken his teammate. And it looks like they've already... And I'm looking at the drivers here, just taking a look. But Andy Speed now P7, Nico Suave P6. Fastest, by the way, fastest lap of the race, Harrison P3 on that McLaren. 2 minutes and 6.65. And once he basically cleared GB3 earlier, he's been on a mission to catch the leaders. He's about 3 seconds away from the top 2, and Kovac still with the lead. And looking a little bit further back, looks like we have Berg holding on strong to that P11, and we have Andre Lloyd on his Porsche. I had a little chat with Berg before this race. He didn't have much time to practice. Sounds like me every race I do, but he's still able to hold on to that P11 so far. So far so good for him. Yeah, we're gonna switch back, not too far back here, a little bit further, but with Lee, Chang, and Panchiniak still holding on ahead of these folks. So they've been kind of back and forth here, because Lee had an attempt on Panchiniak earlier, and they haven't changed spots. And you can see Roger closing in, by the way, P20, who is actually the last driver yet to have to pit. Sutherland, P21, has already taken care of his pit stop. So. And you can see there in the air view where the previous chicane used to be. Just a few hundred, well, not even, maybe not even, about 20, 30 meters ahead. But makes a difference. And interestingly enough, here's Suzuka, and something that you don't normally see, and you don't pay attention on TV either, but the front here, the starting line, it's quite a slope. And I didn't realize how much of a slope that was until I saw it in person. But it's a huge slope, and actually the full downhill almost, and I was kind of surprised when I saw it. Usually in TV cameras and you hear in, say, in ACC, you don't see it that much, but I was pretty surprised at how much downhill that is. And switching over to Sutherland, by the way, has already pitted. Dockendorf already out of his pit as well. So P21 through P31 have already taken care of their pits. 44 minutes and 25 seconds to go here at Suzuka. Quite a few little mini trains still going on, as switching over to P10, Super Dave and Berg is actually not too far back at all, but he does have Lloyd and Poe to worry about. They seem to be kind of in a little groove. A little bit further ahead, you see here Scott and Diggs, and they've been going at it for most of the race, and Diggs just kind of waiting to, you know, maybe find an opportunity here. But Scott, by the way, P4 has kept that P4 spot, and Diggs started P6. Still trying to find a way around, and here's an attempt again, but Scott is going to go on that inside line, and Diggs trying to pick up a little bit of that draft, and might not be enough again. As you can see, just not enough speed there at the end. That McLaren top speed, just, you know, that Porsche has that exit speed, but just not able to keep up at the end off the start of the lap from turn 1. So
as we've got a side-by-side battle back between Maxi Poe and Lloyd. Lloyd's going to hang onto it for just a moment, was able to successfully defend that position after being side-by-side down the straight, but these two have been going on at the last couple of laps, and Max Poe's having a good race, another solid run so far. We finished P11 last week, and just consistent, quietly. Haven't talked about him a whole lot. Hasn't made any big waves so far this season, but definitely solid, dependable performance week in and week out so far.
Maxi Poe, by the way, obviously my favorite livery here in Suzuka, reminds me of the, obviously, Ayrton Senna's. And you can see their team name, Fresh Ayrton Senna. Oh, actually, Fresh Ayrton Full Senna Racing. Full mix of those words and names. And great reminder of the late 80s McLarens here at Suzuka. And speaking of which, I I don't see his teammate here tonight, Mr. Dudley. Looks like he was not able to make the race here at Suzuka tonight. I hope we will see him in 2 weeks in Valencia. That could be his drop round here at Suzuka. And this battle here with Scott and Suave and Diggs. Diggs actually found a way around Scott. So it looks like Scott had made a mistake. I see his delta is on the red here, so that gave room for Diggs to clear, but now Suave has closed in. So Diggs finally found a way around, and Diggs was talking on the chat earlier that he wasn't feeling so well and how much he was going to make a mistake on every single turn of the track. And if mistakes leads you to P4 so far, well, I'd be happy with that comment, so I'm good. Now they have nearly identical pace throughout the race. Again, previous lap from Scott was a 2:03, and that's what cost him that position.
All right, actually take you back real quick and take a look at the pass there. Just a little bit wide from Scott there. Diggs shoots it up the inside. A little bit of contact. Actually shoves Scott out wide.
Didn't look any intentional at all, just sort of as they kind of came
No,
across.
just incidental contact for sure, but probably a little more than
loose.
Scott was expecting.
Yeah, that's true. But look at Scott here behind Diggs. He's like, this is not over at all. Now, Scott is sandwiched between himself and Suave, and you can see the group of drivers coming back there not too far back. They have Speed, Wagner, and Gardner just kind of keeping up on that little train in the back. So quite a few drivers moved quite a few spots. Wagner moved up from P14 to P8. Wagner from P11 to P9. So Wagner's on a mission. He was doing quite well at the practice race on Monday, so he's trying to work his way up as much as you can. As Diggs has opened up a little bit.
Got a battle of the fast foods for the last couple laps. Gardner initially had the lead, or had the advantage there out of those two, but Wagner ended up passing him. And now I think Gardner's starting to reel him back in a little bit.
We got teammates maybe working together a bit here, maybe who can might be able to find a way around Andy's speed. And Suave looks like heading into the pits, so he doesn't want nothing to do with that battle that was about brewing up there between Diggs and Scott. Maybe try an undercut later on. We'll see if that benefits him. And Sweeney also in the pits, so he's chosen to take his Kit Kat for a little bit of fuel. Keep an eye on Sweeney's pit stop. Make sure that it should be a quick 3 seconds unless you want to fix any damage. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat. Looks like he's.
I think Sweeney has been one of the biggest movers of the day so far. Just see him complete his pit stop down and away. Sitting 21st currently after the stop. But was up there flirting with the top 10.
Yeah, and his pit stop was actually 8 seconds, so maybe he had a little damage he needed to fix as he comes side by side with, looks like, Schlitz, who has already also pit. So he slotted himself right behind him. And then not too far back, Stack. So he put his AMG right in between two McLarens. He does have maybe a little bit colder tires due to that pit stop, but we'll see if he's able to fend that off.
Yeah, actually looking back at my notes, Sweeney gridded 28th to start this race, so he has moved up quite a few spots.
Yeah, he was the biggest winner before that spot. That's the stop, that's for sure. As we see here, a battle between Lee and Roger, by the way, currently P16. Roger just glued on the back of Lee's McLaren, trying to go on the inside. And look at Roger, makes the take. Looks like Lee went a little wide, but he shuts the door on Chang. So Roger is able to go around on the spoon. It's a battle of basically two McLarens and a Ferrari.
The lone Ferrari in the field, by the way.
Yeah, the only Ferrari on the field. Chang doing quite well there. Oh, and Lee gets loose. Oh my goodness, he's able to save that. Wow. Are you kidding me?
Fantastic save.
That deserves a replay from an in-car view. Let's take a look at this. He gets that and, oh, man, car control there. We know ACC being a simulator, just, it is not easy to do that. I'll tell you that. You end up losing it. Wow, great save from Lee, able to keep it together. Lost the position, but still on the race. I'll take that as a plus. And switching over to Berg, who's now in P10. He does have Lloyd very close. It looks like Super Dave opened up a little bit of a gap, so Berg is leading up this little train with Maxi Poe not too far back at all. Berg has had a really good race so far. P15 and is currently in P10, and Lloyd, P24, has moved 13 spots so far. Wow, what a race from him. It's like we got his livery working, and he is just showing it off on this Porsche.
It might have been a little out of frame at the time, but the amount of gain that Maxi Poe just made through the Degner curves was impressive. He must have gained 8 car lengths just through that section.
As you can see here, and Lloyd just putting some pressure on Berg's AMG, but let's take a little bit of a ride with Lloyd. He does have Maxi Poe to worry about as well, so attack and defend at the same time. This is where we saw Lee sort of losing it, but saving it. Gotta say, that is one of the best saves I've seen here at Suzuka. Every time I see a car doing something wrong at a 130R, it is game over, and he proved me wrong. He was able to keep that together. As they will start lap number 14. So able to get a little bit of a breathing room there as deep in the brakes, and this is the sector where Porsche does gain quite a bit of time. We'll keep an eye here how close Lloyd can get to Berg's AMG.
Yeah, both Porsche and the McLaren of Poe there both gain massively on Berg's AMG there. So we see a rejoin here. Who's that off track?
Oh, that's Super Dave? Is that? He is, Super Dave. He fell back. Let's see what happened. Let's take a look. Let's go. Fell 15 seconds back. Oh, he did. He lost it. I was able to salvage it though. So he lost those 3 spots. And oh man, oh, Maxi Poe just coming across and just almost getting hit again, but he was able to save that and not get hit. So off he goes. But 3 spots for Dave. That benefits Berg now in P9. But still under full attack from Lloyd and Poe, and now Super Dave back there. So this is the nearest, the closest match, and by the way, not too further ahead, by the way, Andy Speed under serious pressure from Gardner, who has actually overtaken his teammate Wagner, and now Gardner attempting, just kind of trying to see where he could possibly take Speed, as he does have great speed out of the spoon curve. Look how close he goes, and he's going to go attempt on the 130R on the inside, trying to bait Andy Speed. Look at that. You might have worked, but oh man, Andy Speed way wide, and that actually cost Wagner some time there too. As Gardner just trying to throw Andy Speed off, and he worked for a bit. That might be a track up, but as they both go into the pits, in the pits they go, Wagner says, I'm out. You go. Let's see who comes out ahead of this, if they can both nail it. Wow. So a little bit of a mind game going on there from Gardner, and we'll see if it works out. Maybe Andy Speed might be throwing off going into the pits now. Let's see. We'll keep an eye on this. This is going to be interesting. As we see there, that's the stop for Speed. We keep on a close eye on Speed's Lamborghini. We'll see where he comes out once you see the car. Look at Gardner's car comes out identical, basically identical. Out of the pits they go. So Andy Speed able to hold on to that spot. No undercuts. He was able to keep it together. So actually gained a little bit of time on Gardner, but we should expect to see this battle brewing up once again in a few or maybe a lap or two. Great battle between these two so far.
And another great battle back for 20th position between Alatufo and Sutherland.
Yeah, look
Battle
at
of the soft drinks this time. Pepsi versus Mountain Dew.
Oh,
Tell us, chat, who's winning this battle of soft drinks? You got Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, or Pepsi? What are you taking?
You know, I gotta say, I was watching Al Latufu here on Monday night and going through that sector 1. He's just slingshotting that Porsche around. And then right ahead of him was basically an AMG. I believe it was Wagner's AMG, and they just can see how much easier it was to just negotiate that whole sector. As he goes wide into the grass, commentator's curse, we're switching off Al. We don't want to end your race. We're switching it off, man. Great job on that save, and we'll switch to another driver. Commentator's curse.
Well, that's all right, because we got Lloyd putting the pressure to Berg again.
Oh, let's switch that right over here, folks. Here we go. Casio triangle.
Almost a small bump there. Maybe just a tiniest of taps from Lloyd to Berg. Berg's AMG is going to stretch its legs on the straight. It's pretty impressive how much of a gap they can build up here. Still no change in these 3 drivers, though. Still Berg, Lloyd, Poe in that order, spaced out pretty equally.
Yeah, they've been basically, it's been like this for look at Berg, goes a little bit wide, but able to save it. So it looks like Berg might be having some trouble in turn 1. It's just every time he goes to turn number 1, you can see basically the group behind just closes in. Could be maybe, not too comfortable with the way the car might be feeling through turn 1. You don't want to lose your rear, oversteer or anything of that sort. As you can see, look how close Lloyd comes out on those after the S's.
Probably a little harder for him to get that McLaren slowed down. I mean, it looks like he's going about 10 kilometers faster than the other 2 drivers down the straight.
Now we got the speed trap here, by the way. Just taking a quick look, and this shows you how things can be quite different around the track. And at the moment, the fastest car that has a speed trap that's going to do is actually Wagner P6, 265 kilometers an hour. And you can see, for example, Kovac and Charles, mid-engines, you'd say, like they're actually 257. That is almost a 10-kilometer difference. But yet, the track benefits mid-engines, and just is not about speed. It's more about just how you can negotiate around your way around the turns. And the AMG is just not able to keep that same momentum through the turns versus the mid-engines, at least, while the Porsches and, well, in this case, Lamborghini P2 and McLaren P3. So a little bit of a battle going on for P12. By the way, Penchaniak and Roger kind of trading places. Penchaniak able to hold on, but Roger just glued on the back of that other, on that Lamborghini. Look at this, and Penchaniak on the defense. We're going to switch to a heli view here as Chang is just watching from the spectator point of view as Roger backs out. Penchaniak closes the door. Penchaniak holds on. Roger trying to bait Penchaniak on the inside. And look at this. Oh, man, look on the outside. Penchaniak gets spooked. And Roger might actually take it. Or not. Chang says, I'm out of this.
Back on the outside again. Roger really should get in that slipstream there. Keep the nose to the outside. Maybe playing mind games.
Yeah, but he actually lets Penchaniak go again. So we thought he had finally found a way around, but Penchaniak able to hold on. And I like Chang was like, I'm done. I don't want to be involved in this scenario.
Seems the McLarens are astonishingly good through the just the grip level through the first sector is you can see massive gains. Almost every battle we've concentrated on,
yes,
we've seen them make massive gains through the first sector.
And look at that. By the way, Lee, who's now at P14, has yet to complete a mandatory pit stop, and so the last driver to do so. He's closing in. He's just about a second and a half there. You can see his Cold Trickle Days of Thunder McLaren creeping in.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention we're just past the halfway mark, sitting at just shy of 28 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, and then Kovac, by the way, update on the leader. He's, got that pole lap and has basically kept it to open up a little bit of a gap from Charles. About 6.5 second gap. And Harrison just about 3 seconds from Charles. Harrison and Charles running practically identical times, so you don't see there any game between the leaders. And we're going to switch to camera. down here
The
again.
201 club's getting lonely as far as lap times go. We're seeing more and more cars drop off that into the 2 minute and 2 second mark. But Kovac's still solidly within the 201 range at a 201.6 the last time by.
As Lloyd heads into the pits, and as we saw him heading to the pits with Poe just barely missing him, Lloyd made a last second like a lunge into the pits. He was able to keep it together, so into the pit he goes. Wagner also on his pit stop. And Wagner so far has dropped down to P12. Again, quite a few
Good
drivers
stop,
to
5
pit.
seconds for Wagner.
That was a pretty good stop, and looks like most of the stops have been just around that 5 seconds with that quick splash and dash. That's what you'll be looking to aim for if you want to get your not lose too much time in the pits. Lloyd out of the pit he goes, slots himself in P20. And by the way, teammates have already taken care of their pit strategy. So Wagner, he slotted himself right behind his teammate Gardner, and then Andy Speed a little bit further ahead was already taking care of his pit stop as well. So Andy Speed with a little bit of breathing room now. And earlier we saw them both salty THR AMGs on full attack from Andy Speed, and Andy Speed a little bit of breathing now, but you know they might be closing in, about 25 minutes left in the race. So we'll see what turns out here in the future, but we're switching back over to Pinchaniac there. P10 still under attack from Roger, but Lee and then Dockendorf closing in. Now Dockendorf, yeah, he's already pit, by the way, just so you guys know.
Had a little bit of a wiggle for Roger coming out of the hairpin there. Just put him a little bit behind the 8 ball in this battle. Lost probably 3 to 4 car lengths on Pinchaniac.
Yeah, he did, about a second or so, but and basically these guys, Pinchaniac, Roger, and Lee, have yet to pit. Dockendorf has already pit, but remember, this is for position, so if Dockendorf, you can see his Porsche there on the back. Drivers that have yet to pit do not have to give a position. Again, they're actually on that position. As Roger loses it. No! Into the entry, last out of the Casio triangle, he goes into the wall. Let's go take a look at a replay on his exit from his view.
Yeah, still sitting in a pretty dangerous spot here, right on the exit.
And he just ran into the wall. Oh, man. And he tries to get his car out of the way, but that is going to cost a lot of time for him. Oh, man, you hate to see that battle. Just such a great battle going on between these drivers, but now we're going to switch back this over where Andy Berg is holding on P6 and Maxi Poe glued now, so he's got to deal with another McLaren. And he's been on full defensive mode the whole race, and he has moved up quite a few spots. As P15, he's yet to pit, but considering the amount of practice he's told us he had, this is actually a successful event for him. And then again, not too far back, we have Super Dave and Lee.
Yeah, Doug Lee with the big gulpers representing that 711 number 308 Audi. One of the only Audi in the top 10 currently. A bit of a rough week for them last week. Both cars in that team had a bit of a poor outing, but definitely making up for it this week. Strong running and looking to take yet another spot.
Yeah, Lee coming through there with 130R, kind of let go a little bit. Super Dave able to find his way around the Casio triangle just fine, but Lee gets into the pits. Ooh. He goes, oh man, oh man.
Almost missed the entrance there.
Switch the camera quickly over to Lee and Dockendorf again. Dockendorf has already pit. Lee has not yet pit, but Lee with every right to defend his position. So Dockendorf hoping for that undercut, might be losing some time here if he has got better pace. You can see there Lee's teammate Suave not too far back at all. So this might be helping Suave to catch on Dockendorf a little bit, but Dockendorf trying to bait Lee. Lee does not fall for it. As we can see here, just behind Wagner trying to find a way around Speed. Wow, what a move here. Looks like they both found a way. Gardner and Wagner found their way around speed. Let's take a look at the replay as they went together to turn number 1. Andy Speed trying to go on defensive, but look at that. So both THR Salty drivers have found a way around Andy Speed after the pits.
Yeah, I mean, that attempt at defense on the outside is just a testament to how much these drivers trust each other, because you're full commit into turn 1. If you miss it even by a little bit, your car's gonna wash out to the outside and potentially collect the car on the outside of you. So for Speed to hang it out there right next to him and trust that Wagner wasn't going to get into him was really cool to see. And I love that we can see nice close racing like that with no contact. It all worked out. Just good, clean, hard racing. Love it.
Yeah, it's always good to see, good racecraft drivers, and they're battling it on track. It's no need to send somebody wide or anything of that sort. Sometimes you see in public lobbies, of course, and as Lee gets a little bit loose there out of the spoon, but still able to hold on. But yeah, both Gardner and Wagner found a way around Speed, and Gardner and Wagner gold drivers, and Speed with a silver. But still, we have bragging rights for positions, so why not? As Lee's approaching the Casio Triangle here once again on full defense, and that's giving Suave, his teammate, room to basically catch up to Dockendorf. So a little bit of a team effort going on here, possibly. And we're going to switch gears a little bit on the back of the field just to give you guys a little bit of what's going on back here. We have Marvin, also Sircone, currently battling P27, by the way, but Sircone has got just about under a second behind Marvin there. A little bit of a battle going on towards the rear of the field. And P21, we have Johnson with Sweeney not too far back, about half a second.
Johnson actually just got that position from Sweeney last lap.
Yep, he did. Yeah, Sweeney looks like might have made a mistake on his running. Is on a 2 minutes and 4 seconds. So Sweeney now has got about under 20 minutes to go for offense again and maybe try to get that spot back. And now we're going to switch to back gears once again here for that P10 position as Lee just masterclass on defending here from Dockendorf. As you can see, Suave closing in Dockendorf. And again, this might be working out just fine as Dockendorf is trying to put his Porsche on the inside. They're going together to the spoon. It looks like Dockendorf does get better exit speed, found a way around him. Wow. So finally able to find a way around, and you can see now Suave behind his teammate. Might be stepping aside here to let him through. You can see a little bit of a team game going on here. Lifts off just a bit to let him through, and he's going to go on a hunt for Dockendorf. Now he doesn't have to worry about who's coming behind there. Both Wagner and Gardner not too far back there. You can see as Gardner goes so squiggly there at the end. Oh, saves it.
Gardner is pushing that thing to the limit, and he's actually distanced himself a bit from Wagner. Wagner close to coming under attack from Speed again, but Gardner just has had massive pace on the long runs. Right after pit stops, we saw Wagner close back in on Gardner, trying to take over that 13th position. Wasn't quite able to do it, and we've seen since Gardner's just gotten away and has been marching forward ever since as he's closing in on those teammates of Suave and Lee.
And a reminder that Lee has yet to pit, so Suave is playing a little bit of a game, and maybe Lee will be holding on to pit to give as much room for his teammate Suave to open up a little bit of a lead between these two AMGs coming through. As Charles, look at that, Charles P2 with a drive-through. Oh no, that completely compromises his race, and that will practically give everyone a position there at the top. So that will give Harrison that P2 and Diggs possibly that P3 as they yet have to pit. They yet have to pit. Oh goodness, got all confused. But you can see here as Garner trying to find a way around Lee with every right to defend. And just not too far back. You can see his teammate, Wagner, and Lee's trying to take on the inside. Looks like Lee just lets Garner go. So he goes through. Garner says maybe Lee doesn't want anything to do with that AMG on his rear, but lets him through, even though it is for official position, yet Lee having to pit. But Garner now on a hunt for Suave. We'll see if he's able to catch up to those drivers ahead. And Charles in the pit. Now he is, let's take a quick look at Charles. He has served his drive-through. And he has yet to pit, so he's going to have to pit once again. That was just a drive-through to the pit lane, so that's going to cost him quite a few spots from the looks of it. And switching gears over to P9, Panchaniak. He's had a pretty good race so far. This might be his best race of the season here. He's actually, by the way, and I know pits have to get all sorted out still, but Panchaniak was last on the field. Second to last, I believe, actually, Chang was last, and he's gained 23 spots yet to pit, but I would take that as a major plus so far. He's got a huge group of cars coming through now, as he does have Dockendorf, Suave, and Gardner there to hold back. And again, he can hold that spot as long as he wants, as Dockendorf trying to find a way around. And Panchaniak, here's the hairpin. They're leading to the hairpin. You got to be careful here on the brakes. Panchaniak takes that inside line, says, don't even attempt. As Suave might be benefiting from this as well. Let's go a little bit of a ride along with Suave. Going into the spoon curve, you can see there on your picture-in-picture a little bit of a battle brewing up. And Suave short shifts up, try to get better grip out of exit, but that Porsche just takes off. And you can see there in your picture-in-picture Garner just right behind Suave as well. So look at this little train. Different lines going through the 130R. Dockendorf on the outside, and Panchaniak not giving that up very easily. And they tap. Oh no, look at Suave.
Suave sends it up the inside.
Swoops it right in.
Oh, Panchaniak's going to
move.
lose all of those spots, and he's going to take to the pits now. Smart
Wow.
move. Make the most of that by going to the pits, because he would have lost a lot of time had he stayed on track down the straight.
But what a move from Suave. Just slotted his car right there and narrowly avoided everyone. Wow, but Dockendorf found a way around, I'd say, finally around Panchaniak, and created quite a bit of a fuzz there in the midfield, and great racing going on here.
Little bit of a longer stop from Panchaniak, about 8 seconds. Not terrible. That's right in the average. Fastest time you'll see is about 5 seconds. 8 to 10 tends to be a little bit on the longer side, but they're still all right.
And switching back here, P17, by the way, Lee and Lloyd. Lloyd on the inside on the S's. Look at this. That might have just, what a move, just threw Lee off as they're going together at the Degner curve, and Lee not giving up that easily. Lloyd shuts the door into the dirt. Wow, what a move. Able to do it on the outside here and able to hold on to this position after all that. So great move from Lloyd. We're going to switch up not too far back here. Suave under attack from Garner. Again, the AMG power front engine AMG cars just trying to find their way around. I see Dockendorf kind of split himself from that field a little bit, but Suave might want to have a conversation on the radio with his teammates. Say, mate, you could have held him back a little bit more, but now he's got to deal with him. Suave goes wide. Look at both Wagner and Garner. Absolute just blistering through. Suave misses the Casio triangle. Got to be careful. You don't want to get a track cut warning here. Over your warnings, you know you'll be sent to the pits. And Kovac now, by the way, after that, since Charles had to get that drive-through out of the way, he's got a 15-second lead over P2. So what a race from Kovac. He's dominating here in Suzuka, no questions. Gardner goes a little bit wide there on the S's, maybe trying to get Suave out of his rhythm, but not able to. And by the way, we started with, I believe, let's say 34 drivers. We're down to 28. So quite a few drivers have abandoned here at Suzuka. Just about just a little bit over 10 minutes left, left to go here at Suzuka. And Suave, let's take a bit of, we're gonna switch to Suave's wing view a bit here. You can see what he sees on his rear view camera, or the digital TV that McLaren has, as you can see. A bit of a view here, as you can see there on your right hand side. That's your rear view camera for your McLaren, not a mirror. And switch over a little bit further ahead, battle for P5 and 6, and Beltunes appreciate that. But yes, Berg still holding on to that P5, Maxi Poe P6. Berg has had an outstanding race so far. He's been able to hold on, and you know, Maxi Poe just there, and not able to find a way around. And great consistent race from Berg so far. Out of the S's, they go to the Dunlop curve, where, oh, look at that speed out of the McLaren. Completely different line, but, you know, I'm sure Berg saw those headlights almost flashing in the back, because I was zoomed side by side on his rearview mirror. And just Poe, this, you know, might have a little bit better pace than Berg, but Berg on full defensive mode and just not being able to find a way around Berg here. As you can see, he's trying every attempt, and different lines out of the hairpin they go, but not able to find a way around. And go a little bit of a ride along with Maxi Poe. You can see that AMG open up a little bit of a gap here as they get into the spoon curve. And while this is going on, switching back over here with Suave and Garner and Wagner, as it is in full attack from the AMGs on this McLaren, as they're under 10 minutes to go to attempt something here, but Suave just absolutely full defensive, not able to, basically not giving that up easy at all. And Suave is up there on the standings with the championship. As far as standings for the D3 goes, provisional, Suave is P3, 140 points. So he's keeping it up there, P9 at the moment. But then look at Garner trying to find a way around and threw him off. And Suave, oh no, he saved it. Both AMGs are through. Look at that move. Wow, are you kidding me? What was that? Let's take a look at the replay on this via passenger view. You can see Suave, oh, saves it. Both AMG clears it. Oh man, you gotta, hey, you know what? This is the second cold trickle save we see here in Suzuka at the 130R. The first one was Mr. Lee, his teammate. And
teammate Lee. Definitely putting on a show, both those ZDR boys cars.
Wow. So that McLaren can, well, we now know a McLaren from the ZDR boys can save yourself from the 130R shenanigans. Both drivers, almost similar mistakes, and they both hold on. Even though he lost 2 positions, he's still alive. I will give you that. As Poe, oh no.
Berg got off in the sand a little bit too wide into the hairpin there.
Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened. Looks like Berg laid on the brakes. Yes, he was. Poe said, thank you very much. I will take that position, and found a way around. Finally, Poe. Maybe he chooses to pit now or never. About 7 minutes
Yeah,
left
one
in
of
the
the
race.
only mistakes we've seen out of Berg all day. Generally a solid defender, doesn't make too many mistakes, but occasionally, hey, I mean, he'd been under pressure from Poe for a long time. I don't blame him for finally cracking a little bit.
And battle here for P14, by the way, Sutherland. He does have Al Latufo not too far back on his Porsche, so front engine versus mid engine. As the two THR Salty drivers have cleared. By the way, Dockendorf opened up a huge gap. Once he cleared Suave back there, I mean, he is on a hunt. Dockendorf provisional P8. Now remember, round 1, Dockendorf came through as Sutherland touches the outside curve that might give the position over, and nope. Still able to keep it together. Latufo still there in the back. No position swaps, but Dockendorf came out with the win on round 1 on Ring as Max Diggs led most of the race. Once all pits said, when everything was done, Dockendorf came out with that win. So he's leading the drivers have already pit now. So, but Kovac with that pace has been on another level.
Right here we got a battle spicing up between down for 16th between Charles and Lee. Lee's going to get to the inside of Charles side by side out of the first corner.
They're
heading into the S's. Mikhail's going to have the advantage here, but we've seen Lee's been on a charge. We saw him battling for quite a long time with Lloyd. You see him just at the edge of the frame there. Managed to pull away and finally track down Charles for this position. This for 16th right now.
You got a little squiggly there, Lee, out of the last part of the S's, but not much time lost at all. Again, Charles was holding on to that P2, had that drive-through, unfortunately dropped in so many positions, down to P16 now. You know, he is not enjoying that at all. And Berg was already pit, came right ahead of him, so Berg has got about under 5 minutes to go to, you know, go full defensive on Charles. Previous lap from Berg, from what I see here. Oh, he was in the pits. Now, pace-wise, Charles has a best lap of a 2-minute mark at 9:27, when Berg has only been able to achieve a 2:02.145. Towards the end of the race here, Berg's going to have to throw every single defensive, basically, skill on his book to try to hold those guys off if he's if we consider their pace throughout the race. So
yeah, definitely going to be a challenge. We saw once again in the hairpin that lap, Berg had just a little bit of a hard time getting that AMG, slowed down, as we see both these drivers catching up.
And further ahead again, by the way, Harrison, P2, great race from so far. He does have the fastest lap of the race as a 2-minute mark in 6:65. Basically, the drivers there basically on the 2-minute mark, only Charles, Harrison, and Kovac. Every other driver, and also, Johnson, P20, also put a lap on the 2-minute marks, but it's currently P20. But you can see here Charles under attack from Lee. This might benefit Berg ahead of him, and also benefit, you can see Lloyd coming through. As the more battle goes on, the other drivers close in, or, well, in this case for Berg, sails away into the darkness here at Suzuka.
Yeah, we'll have to expect pits from the top 4. Still have Kovac, Harrison, Scott, Poe, Super Dave, and I believe Lee as well, all yet to pit, as Harrison actually hits pits right now.
We're going to keep an eye on Harrison pits. He's had a great race so far. Interestingly enough, on Monday practice race, a lot of drivers decided to test their where is the pit limiter board at, and you end up seeing quite a few drivers with stop and go 30s. And look at that, Charles on the picture-in-picture. Oh boy, he went a little loose, and Lee might take the spot. And
yeah, Lee's just barely going to clear him there. That was pretty close because we saw Lee actually had a little bit of a wiggle getting out of the turn. Couldn't quite get the rear end of that Audi hooked up.
He did, and look at it. He goes wide. Charles, look at Charles wide into the 130R. My goodness.
Hard into the corner. Sends it too deep.
Oh,
Now
no!
he's going to be
Out of the
he's
pits
gonna
lane.
cut the whole chicane.
No, I'm not talking about the main feed at the same time. Harrison out of the pits, literally into Dockendorf out of the pits, basically the pit lane. Looks like everything was okay between the drivers, but Harrison able to stick and, well, keep that spot. But Dockendorf just absolutely glued on him on pit exit. Wow. So multiple battles going on here for just under a minute left. Excuse me, under 2 minutes left. And Harrison's pit was a little bit slower. He was actually on the, from what I saw, was on the 13-second pit. So he lost about 5 seconds, which gave Dockendorf room to catch up. And you can see there right ahead of him, Diggs has already pit as well. And Kovac in the pits, by the way. And at this point, Kovac has nothing to worry about, as you can see how further ahead he is. The drivers are still not even on the spoon curve yet. And battle going on here for that position. That's Dockendorf trying to go on the inside. Oh, no!
Oh, got a nose on the inside. Contact. Harrison goes wide. Dockendorf can't get it going again. Stuck in the grass. Not going to be happy about that.
And
There's a bit of a dive, and he's going to hold up Gardner now, and Wagner.
But he has cleared them both, so these lost spots on that dive, I think he said it's now or never, and that actually, he cost him the positions, 5 spots.
He had a nose to the inside, but it was still a bit of an iffy attempt at an overtake there. I don't know that he had quite enough of the car out to the inside of him to make that viable pass.
And just a little bit of an information, by the way, and they point out here on the chat, Harrison's pit did not register. He has not put fuel, which does not count. He will need to pit this next lap, which is going to cost him a lot of spots. So this is, oh man, you do not want to see that happen. And unfortunately, that also caused Dockendorf. He's dropped a few spots. Even though, again, we saw that it looks like a little bit of a dive on the spoon curve. But man, he's going to have to pit here. It's going to cost him a lot of positions. And that's going to give Scott a P3 unless Gardner or Wagner are able to make a move for that P4 position for the last lap goes. So what a kind of a mess going on here towards the end. As Dockendorf P8 now under attack from Andy Speed. And again, Kovac on a league of his own tonight here at Suzuka. After his pit stop strategy, 26-second lead over Diggs in P2. So he is on a whole other division, I would say, at least for tonight's race. So. And I switch gears a little bit here for leading on the last lap. As you can see, Wagner. Look at a little bit of a heli view here for you guys as they're going to the spoon curve. As Kovac coming through. Crossing the line, a race winner. He goes, Kovac. What an absolute maniac here tonight. Kovac with the win from start to finish. Did not give that position for maybe a half a second at the start. And wins the race here at Suzuka. Diggs picks in that P2, so what a race from him. Said he was going to crash and not going to do well tonight. What a liar, I'll tell you that. And Harrison will be crossing the line, but he will get a penalty for not pitting and gets a 132nd penalty through the pit. Scott, P4, Gardner, P5, well, P4, Wagner, P6, Suave, 7, Dockendorf ends up in that P8 for now. Andy Speed, we have Poe, Sutherland, Latufo, everybody crossing the line. What a race here at Suzuka towards the end. Wow. Stack crosses in as well. We have Lloyd, Stack as well. Yep. Sweeney puts in a solid P20 after not having the greatest qualifying session of all. Then we have Artem coming through there, the Casio Triangle last turn. A couple of drivers still out on the track. notches in that P20. Have Lee coming through there, who survived the 130R spin. And Penchaniak, who had started towards the rear of the field, again, a lot of spots for him, ends up in P21. Drivers crossing on, you see there's somebody all the way in the back, looks like Marvin. Crosses the line. Last driver out on the field coming through. Last turn here at Suzuka. Mr. Roger. And
kudos to both those drivers for hanging in there. Of course, both of those involved in that lap 1 incident, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And here is our Suzuka, folks. That is our D3 Suzuka. We're going to try to get some interviews here from... We'll see if we can get Kovac here. He was in the league on his own, so give us just a few seconds here as we are going to try to bring our race winner, possibly Diggs. And we'll see if we can bring in Scott as well, our P3 finisher. So give us just a few seconds here as we get settled. As the drivers are starting to get on our voice chat, we'll start pulling them over to our cooldown room, so give us just a bit. Let's see, who do we have? D3, D4 race chat, and guys are still waiting to show up. Here we go. Now, what a race from Kovac. I mean, he took off on that Porsche, and Charles put a little bit of a challenge there, you know, to start, but then also Harrison. But as far as clean racing goes, he was able to keep it together. The only one was able to keep it entirely together. So
Yeah, I was almost a little disappointed. We were on track to have an all Porsche podium if it wasn't for the contact between Dockendorf and Harrison there.
yeah, I'm looking for the folks here for the D3 race chat, but for some reason I do not see them. Unless they have joined a different chat. So give us just a second here, guys, as we try to get some interviews.
Pardon us, we just lost all of the drivers somehow. Don't ask us how. It just happens from time to time.
They've disappeared from our race chat unless they're decided to have a little bit of fun on a different channel that we cannot find them. Let's see. They're slowly populating, so bear with us here for just a few seconds here. We'll see if if we cannot get an interview going, I'd love to get our race winner, at least Kovac. Kovac is available. Let's bring him in. I've been waiting for him to bring him and see what kind of alien moves he pulled here tonight for the D3 division. So give us just a second. Here we go. We're bringing our race winner, Kevin Kovac. Here we go. And Kevin Kovac, you hear us at the booth. Wonder if he's got his mic going. Kevin, you hear us? Hey, man. Okay. Got you here in the booth from the D3 stream, man. Congratulations on that win, man. You're in a league on your own, man. Tell us a little bit what happened here tonight. You just took off from the start.
Only Suzuka. I don't know. It's my favorite track, so just a lot of laps. I've been on pole here before, and it didn't go well, so I'm glad this one did.
Yeah, right from the start, we saw you put in a heck of a lap right out to start things off there in qualifying, and then you guys have identical times, yourself and I believe Charles. He put a little bit of a challenge there at the start of the race, but then before the race started in qualifying, you just made sure you wanted to say, I got the pole position. It's not a tied, so you've got a faster lap there towards the end. So that was pretty good to see.
He was pushing me for sure. I was getting a little worried about tires at the beginning because he was pushing me so hard. I was going a little too fast, I think. So once I got that gap, slowed it back down a little bit. So
awesome, man. But still, we barely even had you on stream as much because you just took off. And then towards the end there were issues there with Harrison and Charles, and you end up with I'd say probably a good 20, almost 25 second lead over P2, who crossed the line. That was Diggs. So, heck of a race from you, man. You're in the league on your own. Got your win here at Suzuka, and you mentioned it's one of the tracks you love. It's one of my favorite tracks, so it's good to see you there, absolutely killing there at the top. So congrats, and I'll send you back to the race chat, man. I don't want to take too much of your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too, man. That was a race winner, Kevin Kovac. What an absolute monster race from him. And for some interesting reason, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not able to find a lot of the drivers here for an interview, unless they're on a different race chat channel that I do not have access to.
Yeah, I am also searching with you, but I do see Nico Suave, and remember we saw a pretty massive save out of him, so
You
he
did.
wouldn't be a bad interview to have.
Let's bring him over. Let's bring him. We're gonna bring whoever is available for you guys. Get a little bit of context on how the race went. So here we go. And Nico Suave, you were at the booth. Can you hear us?
Hey guys, what's up?
Well, man, Adam, you take it from me.
Yeah, just wanted to see how you thought your race went. We enjoyed watching you play defense, offense, everything in between. We saw both you and and Lee get massively loose coming through 130R and have to catch that, and we lost our minds both times. You really putting on some Days of Thunder moves out there. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I mean, the first part of the race was, I guess I was lucky to be in front of the carnage going through the S's on lap 1. Good racing with a lot of the guys I was around. Everyone kept it super clean, so appreciated that. Got the undercut, but came out right behind Bobby, and man, he was too quick for me to get around. And those Mercedes just ran me down, and doing everything I could to keep him behind me. And that moment going through 130R, just a little too defensive, took a weird line, bounced myself on the curb. Definitely a scary moment. Thought I was over there.
I have a question for Nico. I wanted to know what color are his pants after that move on the 130R, because, woo, man, you and your teammate, you guys got to get some kind of laundry done after, because you guys did the same move.
Yeah, and I ran the 8-hour in the M4, and I guess I got too used to abusing the curbs, and coming over to the McLaren just not the same.
You got
it was a good race. I was happy to be able to keep up with those guys at the end and not lose too many positions with that moment. So all around, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good to hear. I mean, we were, if I had been a little more on top of it tonight, I definitely would have broken out the famous Harry Hog line: when the rear end's loose, the car's fast, loose is fast, and on the edge of control. And that's what both you guys were tonight. And it was just a real treat to watch some on the edge driving.
Yeah, big shout out to Mike, though. I know maybe on a different strategy, but yeah, he was keeping it clean, but I know he fought Bobby a little tougher. Yeah, it was fun, and big shout out to the ZDR boys. So Nate, Major, Mike, KB shout out for all the cool liveries and the Days of Thunder inspired stuff here this year. So a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the entertainment. We'll go ahead and let you go.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Got it, Nico.
Take care.
Alrighty. And I was going to look for, maybe our P2, P3 race winner, but I do not see them tonight. So, might as well. I think we're going to be ending the stream. I mean, I hope you guys had some pretty good fun here watching with us tonight. Suzuka is always entertaining enough. And we had some pretty good battles there, a couple of good saves. And we saw there Nico and his teammate Michael there in 130R. It was good to see a nice save going on from those two. A couple of battles across the field. Again, Kovac with a monster win coming through here at Suzuka, as I mentioned, is one of his favorite tracks. So, hey, hopefully one day I can replicate that, since it is one of my favorite tracks as well. So, Adam, you want to take us over through our sponsors?
Absolutely. Would be a complete stream without thanking our sponsors and our title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documize, and of course their modern business solution for product management. Go to documize.com to learn more about their software today. And of course, support from Retro Saga. They're a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And as always, a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use our code SRATE at checkout to support us. And of course, a thank you to Armamentario. They're a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way that you experience ACC and give yourself a chance at improvement and faster lap times. And speaking of faster lap times, Go Setups. They provide premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level, which of course leads us to the Discord, which everyone out there should be a member of. If you're not, what are you doing with your life? You need to get in here and race with these guys. We got 7 divisions of racing. We got speed. We got pace for everybody. If you're new, if you're a veteran, if you're an alien that laps seconds ahead of everyone else, we've got a place for you here, and we'd love to have you join in on the action. We have the website and everything that they have going here at SRA is just amazing. You got tons of data to dig through to track your own progression and your standings throughout the season and your career as a total. Tons of graphs, and just as involved as you want to be, that we got all the tools for you to do that and have a good time doing it. And we have a great time up here in the booth commenting on these races and all the people that have joined SRA over time. I mean, we wouldn't be here without all the people, right? All the drivers. So yeah, just a big thanks to everyone here and everyone who provides all this entertainment for us every week that we are so privileged to commentate on. And yeah, Raph, why don't you take us to the end of the stream here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Adam. And thank you guys who tuned in, watch us a little bit of racing again, as Adam mentioned. It's always fun to be here at the booth and watch some racing. And talked about, if you're not part of our community, join in, check our Discord. We have a great system in place. It's called the SR rating, which will put you right at the pace and where you should be. So you always see some really close racing. If you've watched us here tonight, you can see the drivers are really close matched, and we have some great battles, and you have some fun here at SRA. But that being said, as I mentioned earlier on the stream, next week we do not have our next round. It's Thanksgiving break. And so round 4 will be in 2 weeks, and it will be in Valencia in the wet. And I might be wrong here. Valencia might be the first time we actually have it official in an actual SRA league. I don't believe I remember seeing in season 7 or 8. And if we did, I'm sure Zach, it was not wet. I tell you that. So that's going to be interesting because it's not a track a lot of drivers know. So the one who practices the most, that's going to be the winner. I'll tell you that. I mean, that's just simple as that. It's not going to be a luck of, oh, I've raced on this for so long and I know how I can just pick that right up. Like Monza or something of that sort. That's a track that a lot of folks do not know. So it's going to be interesting to see. If you put a lot of practice, you should be coming out on top. So grid might get a little mixed up, especially because it's going to be raining. So other than that, again, thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks in Valencia. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.